Hello, this is Linda Vettrus-Nichols, and do I have an amazing person to introduce to you, Mike Stevenson. Welcome, Mike.
I'm delighted to join you today, and I'm thrilled to be asked.
Aw, thank you. It's an honor to have you. This is great.
Mm.
You have the most amazing story of transformation. And from that story, you're doing incredible work in the world. So I would love it if you would share that story with all of us.
Yeah, well, I suppose it can be summarized as follows. I was born to a Scottish-Irish father and a Lebanese mother who'd grown up in Egypt. So
Wow.
it was quite a mix to be born
Yeah.
into. It was a kind of cultural. And I spent 3 early years in Pakistan between the ages of 3
Oh,
and
wow.
6.5. And then on the way back, we called into Egypt, and it was the time of the Suez Crisis, where the British government
Right.
made a massive mistake. And I remember the troops on the shore of Port Said, and we got out just before Suez. It
Wow.
was closed down. Anyway, came back to Scotland, which I barely knew because I'd travelled
Yeah.
out to Pakistan at the age of 3, and I found it cold and grey, and I found selling into school extraordinarily difficult
Yeah.
because I'd actually started kindergarten in Lahore in Pakistan,
Oh, wow.
where apparently I spoke pretty decent Urdu. I can remember very few words of it now, but
Yeah.
that just shows you that children just absorb information in extraordinary ways, and they're adaptable. But school was very difficult for me, and I went to 3 different primary schools when I came back,
Wow.
and I hated it. I hated the whole school experience. When I went to high school, it got no better. I just could not settle. I was fidgety. I was thinking of the Beatles and the Stones, and being a rock star, and
Yeah, right.
yeah, exactly. I wanted to stand on stage, and actually, at the age of 13, I started a band.
Ah,
So we were doing stage
yeah.
stuff, but at school, none of that counted for anything
Mm,
because you are judged entirely on academic grounds. So,
yeah.
no surprise, at the age of 15, I was asked to leave the school in
Wow.
no uncertain terms. And my parents were, you know, going through a divorce, and it was horrible. It was nasty.
Oh my
So I,
goodness.
so I escaped to London to, get away from it all. I got a job, and it was all going well until I was sacked
Oh,
within 3 days
oh,
because apparently none of the customers could understand a word I said in my Scottish accent.
oh
I mean,
no.
that's a very spurious reason, frankly. But anyway, I ended up sleeping out, and that was formative in negative and positive ways.
Yeah.
But after that, I went through an extraordinary journey. I went to Dublin, and I borrowed a guitar, and I busked. Got to know Thin Lizzy, who were just starting out at the time, became really good friends with Phil Lynott and Brian Downey, the drummer. And then I had a succession of jobs: building, steel, wine, biscuits, you name it. I worked on all kinds of production lines. I was a packer. I was a bricklayer's labourer. And at the age of 22, I went to college back in Scotland,
Wow.
and I showed I was academically not lacking in anything. It was
Wow.
the way it was being taught at school. So I did pretty well in English literature. I got to like poetry. I could write a good essay. I was enthralled by politics, by government, and all of that.
Yeah.
And then I became a community worker. That was the enhanced role I could enjoy, having got a qualification of 2 effectively A levels at the time. And being a community worker allowed me to, pay back
Yeah.
some of the suffering I'd had, being homeless. So, we're involved in setting up a housing association, which did up the old tenements and, gave them for social rent. And, it was amazing seeing how people, given the chance, could really excel.
Right.
And then I went to Glasgow. I was headhunted, an organisation that was set up to do vital things around the city, and at the same time give people a chance to work. And
Okay.
that was amazing because I worked with people who'd been long-term unemployed, who, when given the chance, really rose to the occasion and
Nice.
showed they had extraordinary gifts.
Right.
And then, after 10 years there, I set up in business back in Edinburgh. I was in the creative industry, and, over the last few years, things have evolved. And now at the age of 72, almost 73, I'm a speaker.
Nice.
I speak. And I write provocatively and hopefully inspirationally as well.
Oh, for sure. I've seen your posts.
Yeah. Some of them are a bit wacky.
As well. No.
You see, I was in the creative industry, so you think, well, I've got to get a message across. I've got to have something that, differentiates us a wee bit. And I
Like
can't
standing
make
on toilet paper.
Yeah. Standing on toilet paper one was
That's great.
yeah. Yes.
I think they're more audacious.
And absolutely. Well, I think you have to be audacious,
Absolutely.
We are living in really difficult times, and the voices that will be heard are those that carry that bit of audacity. And boy, we need answers just now. The world is not in a settled place. I don't think anywhere in the world is. Even, some of the paradise islands in the South Pacific are under real threat of climate change, the rising sea levels. So the world is not a happy place, and we have to resolve it.
Yeah, we get to. I love it. So let's reimagine the world now. Thank you so much, Mike. It's great to get to know you better.
Likewise.